Yesterday I just met up with this couple who is in their 40s who are thinking of selling their condo. So in fact, it's age 39 and 43 years old respectively. So selling their condo, their plan sounded very responsible. Just simply to sell the condo, reduce their liabilities, and then buy a HDB and prepare for any uncertainty that may happen in their career. On the surface, it sounded like a very safe move. But after sitting down and going through their numbers, I asked them one very important question. Will moving to a cheaper property really make your retirement stronger? Or will it simply make you feel safer today while reducing your options tomorrow? That question literally changed the entire conversation. And so, this is another episode of the 60 Minutes Conversation that changed everything. So basically, this couple had purchased their condominium about 4 years ago. Okay, so at that time, they made a decision based on what they could comfortably manage the finances. They did not overstretch themselves. They were able to service their monthly mortgage very comfortably. And their lifestyle was still very manageable. But recently, they started becoming very worried, or even more worried than before. They were seeing news about retrenchment here and there. And they were also thinking about their age. They were wondering what might actually happen if their income changed in the next couple of years to come. So they started considering what they felt was the safer route, okay, just to sell this particular condominium and then move into a HDB and fully pay it, okay, or reduce their housing commitment, okay, and free up more of their CPF and cash. Their concern, in fact, was not unreasonable. In fact, many homeowners in their 40s are probably thinking about the same thing today. They are not necessarily struggling, okay, but they are worried about what may really happen next. And sometimes when the fear sinks in, that can actually make us want to make a major decision before we fully understand its long-term impact. So before we could even discuss their next property, we first had to understand their current selling position. They have purchased this particular property at around the 1.3 million range. Okay, based on the recent transaction and competing listing, we discussed a possible marketing range. But the market today is very, very competitive. There are tons and tons of sellers out there. Buyers have plentiful of choices. And in fact, when buyers have a lot of choices, they do not feel pressure to rush in to buy. They start comparing, they negotiate, and they are very sensitive to all the pricing. This is why I told the couple something I always share with all the sellers. The first 14 days of your listing are extremely important. Why is that so? Because when a property first appears online, it is brand new. Buyer starts to notice it. Agent also start to notice it. Serious buyers who have been monitoring the area will immediately compare it against the existing choices. But if the asking price is too far away from what the market is prepared to accept, the property can lose its initial momentum. After that, buyers may keep seeing the same listing months after months. They may start wondering why it has not been sold yet. And eventually, when the price is actually adjusted, the listing no longer feels new. This is why pricing is not just about asking for the highest possible number. It is about creating enough interest for buyers to come in, view, and give us a numbers to work on it. Okay? So I told them something else that may sound really, really unusual. Okay? In today's market, whenever a genuine offer comes in fact, you do not reject it immediately. Let's just sit down, recalculate, okay? Because an offer is not just a number. It is actually information. It tells us how the market is actually responding right now. It tells us how buyers are comparing the property against other available choices, if not your competitors. It also gives us the opportunity to calculate whether moving forward makes any financial sense. Sometimes the offer may be too low, but that is really perfectly fine. We can always negotiate, and best is we can always decline the offer. But before we even say no, we should understand what saying no's may lead to or even means. What and when will the next offer really comes in? Will it be higher or will it be lower? Nobody can know with certainty. So the correct approach is not to react emotionally. The correct approach is to recalculate the entire plan first and see, does it really make sense whatever the offer is on the table today? So the next part of our conversation was about their sales proceed. They wanted to understand what will happen after deducting the outstanding loan and the CPF used for this existing property. This is actually where a lot of homeowners starts to get a bit confused, okay? Because they may look at the selling price and think that the difference between the purchase price and the selling price will be their profit. But this is not always the complete entire picture. We must also look at the outstanding housing loan, the CPF principal already used up for this particular house, the accrued interest that needed to be returned to their CPF account respectively, and whether there will be any remaining cash proceed. And in this particular situation, the estimated selling price was close to what they originally paid. So after accounting for the loan and CPF refund, the amount of cash they will receive might be very, very limited. This was emotionally difficult for them. They had paid the mortgage for several years. They had also used cash during the earlier part of this home ownership. So naturally, they asked one simple thing. After paying for so many years, why does it feel that we are not getting much back? This is a very understandable feeling for most homeowners out there. But the money used to reduce the loan is already reflected in the lower outstanding loan balance. The CPF refunds is also not money disappearing. It is returned to their own CPF account respectively, subject to the applicable CPF housing ruling. The main challenge was that the property value had not really increased enough to create a significant and meaningful difference after all the figures were accounted for. So for any actual calculation, homeowners should always obtain the latest CPF usage and accrued interest figure and verify the numbers before you even committing to your next sale. So after understanding the selling numbers, we discussed their next move. Okay, the intention was to buy an older and more affordable HDB. Okay, so potentially an executive apartment, executive mansionette, or even a larger format HDB because they wanted more space, they wanted a lower monthly commitment, they wanted to feel financially secure. I told them there's nothing wrong when buying a older HDB. Okay, older HDB is totally fine if it suits your lifestyle and intend to stay there for a long time. A home, basically, it is still a home where you guys are out there to create your memories and all, okay? But of course, not every property decision must be made purely for investment. But they also needed to understand the trade-off. Many of the larger executive apartment and executive mansionette in mature estate are already relatively old. Their remaining lease will continue to shorten in time to come. So while such a property may provide them with the space they want, they should not automatically assume that it will appreciate significantly in the future. The decision may still be right, but it must be made with the correct expectation. Buy it because you enjoy the space. Buy it because the location suits you and your family. Buy it because you are comfortable staying there for many years to come by. But do not buy it while assuming that every older property will definitely increase in their value. This was when I asked them the question that changes the direction of the whole entire discussion. I say, while both of you guys are in fact in just your 40s, which is younger than me lah, okay? Your mortgage loan is currently so manageable and you are not using a large amount of cash every month to even service it. So is it really the right time to move into your fallback options? Because most of us need something to fall back on much later in our different years of age. Maybe at 55, maybe at 60, maybe when even we retire. But if we move into the fallback option too early, what will be left for us to fall back on later? I'm not saying this that they must keep their existing condominium. Of course, I'm not saying that they must buy another private property. I simply wanted them to understand and recognize that reducing their property value today may reduce their financial flexibility in the future. Which is why I always tell all my customers this is to constantly elevate your property net worth. because many people think that retirement planning means paying off the home completely. Of course, having no mortgage loan can provide you with a peace of mind. But retirement is not only about having no housing loan. You still need money for your daily expenses, your food, your healthcare, your transport, your insurance, your family commitment, and your traveling plans on the yearly basis, and the lifestyle you always hope and desire to enjoy. Let us use a very simple illustration right over here. If you retire at the age of 65 and live until around the age of 84, that is approximately 19 years. Even if you use only $3,000 a month, that is equivalent to $36,000 a year. Over 19 years, that is already more than $680,000 before considering any inflation or unexpected expenses. The purpose of this illustration is not to predict exactly how much everyone will need. Everyone's situation is very different, but it shows us how retirement planning cannot stop at my house is fully paid. You must also ask this question: what asset and funds will I still have available to support my life? This is another important point. Buying a lower price property does not automatically mean you can retire earlier. It depends on what happens to the money you actually release up. Will it remain in the CPF and continue growing? Will it be invested elsewhere? Will it be used for daily spending? Will it be used to fully pay for the next property? Will the next property maintain its value from time to time? There is no one answer for everyone. That is why I do not believe in simply telling someone, sell your condo and buy a HDB, or sell your HDB and buy a condo. Both statements are too simplistic. The right decision depending on the complete balance sheet. Your income, your cash, your age, your CPF, your loan, your future commitment, your family needs, and your risk tolerance. And of course, lastly, the lifestyle that you want to protect. My personal philosophy has always been the same for everyone throughout the years. As long as you are healthy, as long as you are still working, as long as your property does not compromise your lifestyle, it may be reasonable to keep progressing one careful step at a time. But I never believe in overstretching. I cannot promise that any property will confirm make money. I cannot promise how much prices will definitely increase. Nobody should make that promise anyway. What I can do is to help a family understand their options more clearly and calculate whether a move is financially sustainable. Because a property is still a roof over your head. Your family must still be able to enjoy the life. You should not be unable to travel. You shouldn't even change from a 1 year 3 holidays become a 2 holiday. You should not feel stressed every month just because of housing or even mortgage loan. You should not even sacrifice everything simply to own a higher price property. The goal is not to just buy the most expensive property. The goal is to build a stronger position without even compromising your lifestyle today. By the end of the conversation, I did not tell the couple on what to do. The next step was first to put the listing in the market. Prepare the home properly, position the pricing competitively, use the video to qualify the right kind of prospect that's coming in, and see what genuine offer really comes in at the end of the day. Once we actually have an actual offer, we can sit down again, discuss, recalculate the sales proceed, review the available replacement home, and decide whether moving forward really improve their current position. Because planning without a real numbers is basically just theory. Once an offer comes in, the decision in fact becomes very real. So if you are thinking of selling your private property and moving back to a HDB just simply because it makes you feel safer, pause for a while before making that decision. Do not only ask this, how much can I reduce my monthly installment? Instead, ask this, how will this decision affect my financial position 10 to 20 years from now? Will I still have the flexibility? Will I still have something to fall back on? And will this move genuinely improve my retirement planning? Sometimes the safest decision is to reduce your commitment. But sometimes the decision that feels safest today may quietly limit your options tomorrow. The important thing is to understand the full entire picture before you move. What changed was not their property, it was the way they look at safety. So, if you are in your 40s and already start to wonder whether you should hold, sell, right size, or even restructure your property planning, Do not make the decision based on only fear. Start with the numbers. Understand your options. Then decide what genuinely works for you and your family. My name is Eric Yo, and this is the Real Estate Experience, and this has been another episode of the 60 minutes conversation that changes everything. And I will see you in the next episode.